But generally speaking, if somebody's happy and you have looked at it in the last 2 or 3 years, it may not hurt to change, but just know that the insurers all share this information amongst each other about people that are hopping, and they call it, there's claims experience, and then there's client experience, client time experience, like vintage, like how long you've been with the carrier. So again, it's not so much it's a reason not to change, but it certainly is a reason to not change every 2 or 3 years, to go to the, save $100 or $200 to go to the next best provider from a cost standpoint, because it could end up in the long run.
And due to the price point, which we'll get into in a little bit, it's incredibly, because most everyone has this coverage. It's not like disability insurance where outside of a group provider, it's more rare than not to have individual type coverage. If you have a mortgage, it's typically mandatory as part of that mortgage that you have, homeowners type insurance coverage, and it just, like as we talked about, makes sense, for a large percentage of our clients' net worth that they have it. So it's going to get used probably the most of any of the insurance that our clients utilize and provide. So the customer service, the claim paying service, the carrier rating of the particular insurance, how they interact is incredibly important, because you're going to have to use them more than likely than any other insurance that you have. So it's important to know who you're working with, know you're dealing with. It's everything, as we'll get into, is contractual based. So just because it's homeowners insurance doesn't mean it's the same, as if you lined up all the carriers. It's based on the contract of that particular company and that particular product that company is providing. So you may have a traveler's insurance. It's a whole lot different than someone else has a traveler's insurance, type of a policy. So it depends on what backbone that they write that off of. So it is important to know what you have. And it's also a pretty good way off the front end with a client to really get, to flex your muscles a little bit on what you know and what you can know, because it's pretty low-hanging fruit to provide it, but it's not something that the average person, deals with every day. So your proximity to it will allow you to become more of that advice, person for them and help them evaluate some things that are pretty mundane. You just need to get up to speed with what they are and understand the differences that are out there.
That's one thing that you get some pretty good bonus points, and you don't have to do any of the work except for collecting on declaration page and manage the experience with the agent, answering questions and getting all they need, following up, getting their write-up or the competitive quotes, whatever. It's pretty easy, and my experience is put on with Dan Power, where Dan just gives me a write-up and the proposal, and I forward it on to the client, and even if Dan can't replace the coverage, the client's like, oh, this is great, they're validating what we're currently doing, and that's fine with it. So it's a pretty high value add without a lot of work on your part.
So it kind of steps in the process. Obviously, like anything we've talked about, you have to gather the information. So gather the current policy pieces. That can be done that the client has the policy and information, most recent deck pages. LOA, to gather the information from the current agent broker. Like with life insurance, like with any insurance, typically once you do that, put the gloves on, because they're going to think you're going to take it away from them, even if you're just looking to evaluate and check the box to make sure that they have appropriate coverage on them. So if you're ready for that, I wouldn't be as combative up front. Just say what your process is, what you're looking for, what